Hey sportsman, John Bergsma here in beautiful Interlochen, Michigan, up here in the Traverse City region. Now we're starting to press north now, starting to test out all the different ice fishing bites that are going on. We got 5 awesome ice fishing reports, all new stuff. We're starting in Houghton Lake in the center of the state. Right before the Mark Martin Ice Fishing School of next week, we're going to give you an update on the ice conditions and what's going on. Then we're going to slide up to Steve Hubert's neck of the woods in Alpena, the greater Alpena region. We've got a couple of lakes that are firing good and a little bit of a warning for another. Then we're going to cross the bridge. We're going to slide over to the Manistique Lakes recreation area, Big and South Manistique Lake. Mick from Mick's Bait Shop says the bite there is really solid right now. You got to make plans to get up there. Sliding to the western Upper Peninsula, we're going to revisit Gogebic because Guy Justin Sofa and Tim from the Timbers Resort over there in Berglund say they've got a solid bite going now. They've got good safe ice all the way out to the flats. Justin's on top of them. He's catching good fish. Now is the time to make your plans to get on his schedule. Then we're going to end with an awesome destination trip. And what that is the Perch Patrol out in Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Just an absolutely destination prolific lake for awesome walleye fishing and awesome perch fishing. My friend from Straight Fins Guide Service, Captain Mitch Doherty, winner of the Fall Brawl, spends his winters in Devil's Lake guiding for Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. We're going to give you a great update report there to put that on your radar if you and a group of guys are thinking of doing a once-in-a-lifetime bucket trip that you will probably end up turning into an every year event or every other year event. Stay tuned at the end of the report. Devil's Lake, North Dakota, big perch and nice walleye. Stay tuned for this week's Hot Bites Fishing Report. So we're going to start out at Houghton Lake, right dead center of the Lower Peninsula. You know, we're talking to to Gary Birch, who's been out just doing a little poking around prior to the Mark Martin Vacation Ice Fishing School. And Gary tells me that he's bumped into some really nice northern pike fishing in that 5 to 8 foot of water around weed laydowns all around Houghton Lake's edges. The places he's checked, he's got consistent northern pike fishing. Now, how's he doing it? He's been jigging them up on glass rattlers from, of course, fish bones. If you're Gary Birch, you know you're going to be fishing fish bone stuff. Tipping the aggressively jigged one with a minnow head, and then the one next to him laying on the shanty floor, which a lot of times can do the damage, is the dead stick with a tail hook or behind the dorsal hooked free swimmer. And a lot of times what happens is you can jig those fish in with the activity on the handheld rod, and then they go ahead and hit that dead rod, the one that's just subtly sitting there swimming. And so that's been the ticket for locating nice northerns. Of course, tip-ups always work. The real bite, though, that's going on, according to Gary, and he hadn't tested it out yet, is East Bay. He said he's hearing a lot of reports of guys up in East Bay, good solid ice conditions, and nice bluegill action going on, crappies, few perch mixed in, just a really good mixed bag of panfish there in East Bay up on Houghton Lake. So we've got really good fishing looking forward. We've got cold enough temperatures. We've got 5-6 inches of ice pretty much everywhere, and on the cold nights building from there. So we look to be solid there on Houghton Lake. So get yourself up there to the center of the state and have a good time. It's an awesome place to visit. There's a couple of really good bait stores around the shores to get your live bait at. There's all kinds of mom and pops resorts to take care of your accommodations need. So Houghton Lake, Michigan, got to put it on your bucket list for this year. Are you in the market for a new trailer? For all your trailer needs, big or small, visit Beck's Trailer SUPERstore on Highway 127 north of St. John's. So we're going to slide up now to my friend Captain Steve Hubert from Chum Bucket. Now Chum Bucket, you all know from our reports and from my TV show that he's our guy in the Alpena region when it comes to open water trolling all over Thunder Bay and the greater Northeast Michigan all the way up to Presque Isle. But Steve this year is going to take groups out selectively out for perch fishing parties on Long Lake and on Grand Lake. Steve, kind of shies away from Hubbard, especially this year. It's wide open on Hubbard. I mean, white caps, there's no ice at all. So you got to be really careful if you do think of going to Hubbard Lake. That lake can be treacherous and it can be real deceiving, and we don't want to see our friends going to the bottom of the lake. But the bite right now, Grand Lake and Long Lake. Grand specifically, in that same depth as on Houghton, 5 to 8 feet of water around weed laydowns. You're hearing me talk about this a lot. That's because we're early ice, and those perch like to really move around where the weeds had been. And there's still a lot of bait in there. There's crustaceans, there's crayfish, there's all kinds of activity, and so perch love that. Now, on Grand, there's a real specific way that you catch these perch, and this seems to be a tip-up lake where you do a lot of damage catching perch on tip-ups with really light line, little 6-pound test, 4-pound test line below your split shot. And a lot of guys run a synthetic line, like a fire line or a braid, up to their reel, so they've got a really light presentation. And then you hook a big blue on. Now, one of the tips here when you're tip-up fishing for perch is the size of your minnow many times can dictate the size of the perch bite you're getting. In other words, if you're just dealing with a lot of too small fish, you might want to upsize your minnow actually, because that will help some of the smaller fish leave it alone. Now, if you're going to go ahead and set a portable up and you want to jig, same principle applies. You're going to want to jig in that same general area where you're setting your tip-ups, and a dead rod, a dead stick, you know, just a rod and reel set 6 inches off the bottom with a free swimming blue on the bottom of a very small jigging spoon or a jig is a devastatingly good tactic when you're in the shanty, just to lay it down, pick it up, jig it, set it down. Those perch like to come in and stare at something, and once they commit, they take it, and then you can really just play them until you're ready to go and set the hook. But right now, Grand Lake, 5 to 8 feet of water. If you start out on the south end of the lake and it seems like the fishing pressure is such that you start to lose the fish, they start to not be there, don't be afraid to move up and down. Grand's a big, long lake, and there's a lot of shoreline there. And as long as you're fishing in or around weeds, those perch will move away from that pressure, but they'll try to stay in that same depth, and you got lots of shoreline to play with. And you also got a lot of islands in Grand where you can set up and check the tips and the structural breaks that are off those islands. Those can be great spots for walleye. So Grand Lake, Alpena, Long Lake, Alpena, Hubbard Lake, way too early. Don't even think about going. It's nothing but a life-risking situation. If we're going to throw one more curveball at you, early ice on Fletcher's floodwaters in Fletcher's Pond is awesome. Dean from up at Jack's Landing has got cottages right on the side of the shore. The bite is usually right in front of his resort, and it's on tip-ups for really nice sized northern pike. This is an every year event. That first couple weeks of January, it usually really goes good. And then it turns into a bluegill fishing thing for the rest of the year. But early ice, so you got a couple of weeks of some hot northern pike action up at Fletcher. So give Dean up at the landings a call and he'll take care of you. But otherwise, just make Alpena one of your destinations this year. So we're here with Lee from WavePro, and Lee, talk to me just for a second about the functionality. You know, I've had WavePro for 3 years on my boat now, and one of the things I love about it is the fact that it has no bottom end. It seems like the harder you hit a wave, you still never crash your spine on the bottom of that cycle.
Yeah, what we have is an air chamber there, and we're just compressing air to nothing, so the rising rate's just doubling, tripling, and that's why it doesn't bottom.
That's a very, very cool concept. I mean, you know, the other thing is, and the thing I noticed right away coming from a competitor's base, is there was always that sensation on the up that I was going to get almost thrown out of my seat where, yeah, it would cushion the down, but it would also kind of make me feel like I'm going to get thrown out of my seat. How is it that WavePro accomplishes not having that feeling? Because I don't have that feeling.
Yeah, we have a hydraulic chamber also. We dampen it with oil and some piston like a snowmobile use, and we're slowing it on the rebound.
So really it's the same thing. It just continues to compress on the down to prevent a bottom, and on the rebound it's just constantly resisting until that rebound is gone.
Yeah, we're just slowing it down with the oil. It's a set how fast it's coming back with the oil passing through orifices and the down. Just think of a motocross bike. Them kids sit on the motocross bike, they sag half the suspension out. You know, but if they
Yeah.
go over to jump, the wheels fall out. Same thing in a boat. We're hydraulically slowing you down, going down till the air picks you up, but we're stopping you with the air. That's what keeps you from bottoming. It's also a slowed compression too.
So it's a dual chamber system in there.
A dual chamber, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I wanted that question answered for all of our loyal followers, because I get a lot of comments. How does WavePro in such a tiny little footprint, it's nothing bigger than what you'd come in your standard boat, I mean, just the standard equipment that is the base and pedestal to your seat. It's that same footprint, but yet it accomplishes all of this stuff.
Yep.
Hey, I wanted you guys to know why the WavePro is such a superior piece of equipment. Check them out at waveproshock.com, and we'll see you again next week on Fisherman's Digest. So we're going to slide across the bridge to our friends at the Manistique Lakes Recreation Area, and that's Big Lake Manistique and South Lake Manistique. And Mick up at Mick's Bait Shop chatted with him this morning, and he said they've got a real reliable bite going on right now on just a mixed bag. And that means basically he's got guys catching big crappie, he's got guys catching perch and bluegill on South Lake, he's got guys catching perch and walleye on the Big Lake. And a lot of it at least for this first couple weeks, is going to be in that less than 10 feet weed edges and rock or gravel edges, as well as points or sunken islands, high sunken islands, ones that come up within 10 feet of the top of the ice. So that's what you're looking for this time of year. They got great bait up there at Mick's. They've got great bait at the Fish and Hunt, so you're not short of bait anywhere in the town of Curtis. And right now, it just seems to be a really good general bite going on. So if you're familiar with the Manistique Lakes Recreation Area, you enjoy fishing there, go ahead and put that on your plans in the next week or two to head up there. The early ice bite is going strong. So crappies are taking free swimming minnows below split shots, and a lot of the guys are bobber fishing them. Crappies are a little tentative, and you got to almost let them take it. And so you're setting that rig more halfway down. And you'll mark those. You'll need electronics to really be efficient with crappies. Use your Garmin or whatever. The Panoptix Live Scope under the ice is an awesome unit to locate schools of fish and move right to them. But you'll definitely need electronics to hone in on crappie, because where they hold in the zone is really key. Setting your bobber depth perfectly right is also a big key. But free swimming minnows underneath split shots. Now, if you're panfish fishing, waxy spikes on, 3 to 4 millimeter tungstens, just a medium to medium heavy tungsten, get it down there with a tight line and be able to work that waxy in that spike. Now, if you're setting tip-up spread for pike or walleye, then you're going to want to set that on the shallow edges, like we said. I think in South Lake it's like an 8-foot edge, and on Big Lake it's about that same 6 to 7 on the Big Lake, and that seems to be the ticket for setting that tip-up depth right now. Set it a foot off the bottom. Those cruising fish are always going to notice that struggling minnow a foot off the bottom. If you get it too close to the bottom, you'll miss fish as they'll swim over top of it, especially northerns if you're targeting northerns. So right now, Manistique Lakes Recreation Area, get on over there. Tons of mom and pops resorts that are used to taking care of snowmobilers also love to have those ice fishermen come and fill those places up. So we'll see you up there at the Manistique Lake Recreation Area at Big and South Lake Manistique in Curtis. Hey, are you in the market for a small outdoor shed, carport, or small storage building? Visit my friends up at Midwest Steel Carports. They'll travel anywhere in the Lower Peninsula to install your shed or carport for you. Visit them online at midweststeelcarports.com. So we're going to get on back to Timbers Resort and to the general greater Western Upper Peninsula area. Guy Justin Sofa, Northern Wisconsin dude, slides up and ice guides on Gogebic for basically the whole winter. And Tim from Timbers Resort has told me that Justin is on him now. He's located his primary target species, which is a combination bite of walleye, crappie, and perch. And so he's all over them, and that's a good news for you guys if you're looking to get out on the ice with a guide. And a lot of times people say, John, why do you talk about guides when in these, we just want to go fishing by ourselves. One of the best ways to learn a lake so that you can go back by yourself and be efficient is to hire a guide 1 or 2 times or for a whole weekend, so you can get the feel of what these guys are doing, what they're looking for, what type of structures are they targeting, how are they setting their baits. When you're their client, then you're going to learn a lot of that stuff. And so many times I've told people the first 2 or 3 guide trips is worth every dime a group pays for it, because you learn a lake, you learn the concept of that lake, and you understand how these guys are targeting fish to have success. Then you can take it yourself and implement it if you choose. Or a lot of guys just like coming out once a year and going out with Justin, or twice a year and just having a great time catching a lot of fish. So big perch, as you're seeing the pictures go across the screen, big perch, big crappie, nice size walleyes, just a good mixed bag of solid fish. That's the ticket when you're up at Lake Gogebic. Berglund Bay, that's been really good. I'm sure Justin's probably slid out to the flats now that we got safe ice pretty much everywhere on the lake. That's where I know he loves to target those fish, those deep water perch, and man, do they get some slobs. So give Tim at Timbers Resort a call, get yourself a cabin, get a group of guys, head on up there, make sure you give Justin a call, get on his docket so that he can take you out and show you everything that the Western UP has to offer. Hey sportsmen, John Bergsman here with Fisherman's Digest. We're here today with Mike from Flo-Fast. Mike, the first thing I noticed when I showed up and started looking your system over is we got all these different colors. Let's go through the colors and what they stand for.
Yeah, so the red is going to be for gasoline, yellow is for diesel, blue is for kerosene, and the natural colors for chemicals, could be hazmat materials, could even be water. And we do make them in all the different size containers, from our 7.5 to our 10.5 that you see here, and in our 15-gallon size too.
Wow, that really makes for a really interesting thought that just hit me while we're talking about all these different. I mean, a guy like a hobby farmer, or a guy who has a tractor or a skid steer, anything like that, he can build a system using our cart to have all the different fuels that he's going to use on his property.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy the system, you can buy a complete system like you see here, or you can buy individual containers and pumps by themselves, and you can actually mix and match if you wanted gasoline and diesel. You probably are going to want two pumps for the,
right, with the gas and diesel, so you don't contaminate either.
Correct.
Right. But that system right there, just looking at, that makes a ton of sense to me for a lot of people that I know who are going to have, you know, I know a lot of farmers, a lot of guys who have property up north, their deer camps, you know, they got a tractor up there, which is a diesel. And then they got four-wheelers like we got behind us, who are getting to and from the blind and just, you know, putting in food plots. That type of system looks like it's just the berries for just getting it done and having that gas you need when you need it.
Yeah, and you can move up to 8 gallons per minute with it, so whatever you're fueling, it works very well. You know, whether it's the power sports market, the farm and ag, lawn and garden, marine market, Flo-Fast makes refueling safe, fast, and it's very easy to use.
That sounds awesome. So, hey, check out all of Mike's products at flofast.com. That's flofast.com. And you know what? I think this would look great on your farm. So hey, we're going to take a destination excursion. We're going to get on the Perch train and we're going to head all the way to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. And my friend, Captain Mitch Doherty from Straight Fins Guide Service, he's our Port Clinton guide for the summer. He slides across and ice fishes at Devil's Lake with Hay Bale Heights Resort and Campground there on the shores of Devil's Lake. And all winter long, Mitch is going to be sending us good reports about what's happening. It's usually a combination of 3 species. It's big perch, I mean world-class perch, possibly the best and biggest average-sized perch anywhere around, and that's Devil's Lake, mixed with really good walleye fishing. You do it at the same time and you just don't know what's going to bite. And then in the spring, in March, we're going to be talking sled northern pike. This lake is prolific for big northern pike, especially in the month of March. So when we get to that month, we're going to be talking about pre-spawn pike under the ice, catching them in the shallow bays in and around Devils. But right now, it's a perch and walleye bite. It's early ice. It's snapping really well. As you see by the pictures again going across the screen, we're talking lots of fish, high quality fish, wonderful sized perch, and the most important thing when you go fish with Mitch, you're in a snow bear, which as you guys who are avid fishermen know, that snow bear is a self-propelled, self-heated, wonderful situation. A couple guys sit in there, I mean you're warm as toast, you move around, you stay mobile, you catch a lot of fish. When the fishing stops, you start the snow bear, you move to a different spot or a different piece of structure, start all over again. It is awesome fishing. So get a hold of them at Hay Bale Heights Resort and Campground. That's in Devils Lake, North Dakota. You're going to be seeing weekly fishing reports, so pay attention. And how you access those reports, for anybody who doesn't know how to use our system yet, you go to fishermansdigest.com. You see the bar there for fishing reports. Click on fishing reports, and then you scroll down until you find the lake or the region that you're wanting to fish in, and there will be the fishing report for you. So that region is Devils Lake, North Dakota. So that's how it kind of works. So that's our little early season Devils Lake destination trip. Like I say, get a hold of Mitch, get a hold of Hay Bale Heights. They can set you up for a great excursion. Get 3-4 buddies and head on over there for a long weekend of awesome perch and walleye fishing. So hey, thanks for joining us. We have a great time bringing you these reports from all over Michigan, regardless of where we're at, what we're investigating. Our job is here at Fisherman's Digest is to bring you shows on Saturday and Sunday that you enjoy. And if you're not catching them, make sure you are. They're nationally on CBS Sports Network and the Pursuit Channel. They're also regionally here in Michigan on Fox 32 up in the Traverse City region, WOTV in the Grand Rapids Kalamazoo region, Detroit 20 down in the Detroit region, and across up in the Upper Peninsula on Fox 6 out of Marquette. And of course, we're on every year-round in the Chicago region, the greater Chicago region, on Comcast Sportsnet Chicago. So hey, we'll see you next week here on Fisherman's Digest.